Yo, what's up? What's up? It's Dr. Little John from a G perspective. Wanted to chop it up with y'all for a minute about the subject or the concept of ulterior motives. And once again, this is mental Usalamu. Understand the concept of ulterior motives is not always bad. There are times when ulterior motives may be used to influence people to do things that's best for them. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about, or at least I want to run by you a tool set or a way to infer or to recognize when people possibly have ulterior motives. And you being a free-minded, a security-conscious individual, whether good or not, you want to know, do those whom you're doing business with have an ulterior motive? And so one tool set that can be used to identify whether someone has an ulterior motive and recognize that or understand that there is no quick fix, one tool that does anything. There are building blocks or layers of security that create a sound security system. And so one of these tools that can be used is paying attention to people whom you talk to, their sentence structure, the choice of words, the sense that they've taken great thought into say the things that they are about to say or have said. And it doesn't mean that their ulterior motive is to the negative, but irregardless, as a sovereign individual, you want to make that determination based on all the facts. And so oftentimes when people do have ulterior motives, they'll choose their words wisely. Maybe they'll talk or infer in characteristics that aren't normal to the type of people they are, the subset, the culture that they may come from. But that's from you taking in those filters and saying, wait a minute, maybe I'm wrong, but your get down doesn't present to me that you would phrase some things the way you're phrasing it. Or I see that you hesitated in your response. That means that you chose to think a little bit more about what you were going to say. And once again, that's not a bad thing, but I want to be aware of that because it may, when it's critical, be a bad thing. I wanted to put that in your mind. I wanted to plant that so that you would begin to look or take a deeper note to the conversations that you may have during business dealings or just during your everyday interactions. Begin to identify when there may be ulterior motives, or just begin to identify when people speak in terms or speak in manners that just aren't normal to the type of people they are. I just want you to take notice, whether it's in business dealings or just dealings in general, when people do speak, use phraseology, to take note when people do speak out of speech patterns that may be indicative to the subgroup or culture background that you've given an assessment of who this person is. Now, you could be off, but you want to get in the practice of taking note, because there'll be a time when you'll hear something that will click and it won't make sense, because you'll say to yourself, why did that person say this like that? I noticed they hesitated. I saw it in their eye. And that causes you to maybe think deeper, to maybe take a little bit more time in making a decision, or maybe reassessing who you believe this person to be and whose side they may really be on. But once again, that's just something I wanted to run by you. And that's just something that I wanted to run by you. And this is another aspect of the mental Usalamu. And it's about human behavior. We all have been around humans long enough to know their get downs, but we just don't break it down into the subsets, into the smallest frames, so that we can get the best assessment out of it when we're dealing with people. And we take a lot of things that we should know for granted. And then, of course, there's things that we don't know. But once we know those things, we add that as those layers or those bricks. Anyway, that was just something that I wanted to chop it up with you about. Maybe lace you on a little something. Have you go a little bit deeper in your evaluation of things. This is Dr. Little John from a G Perspective. Peace. I'm out. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up. This is Dr. Little John from a G Perspective. Peace. I'm out.